HQ. This is Whiskey Mike Charlie requesting radio check. Over.
Yeah, War Machine Company. This is HQ. That's a good copy.
Hey guys, I'm Angel from War Machine Company, back again. And today we're going to go over something a little interesting. We're not the first channel to go over this and this controversial issue. And what we have here is the P320. Made by Sig Sauer. The controversy of this firearm has just been a lot of, we don't know if it's neglect of the user or is a manufacturer issue. The P320 has been going off and has been discharging, mainly a lot on law enforcement and a few veterans. So we're gonna go over that today. We're gonna go over why I like the P320. I've owned the M17, which won the military contract. This one here that I have here, this P320 I've owned. I've owned the X Carry. I've owned the compact one. I've owned several P320s. I love them. I love them. Is it a go-to-war handgun? I would say I would go to war with the P320. If it came down to that on my Glock, I would choose my Glock. No offense, Sig. Sig is not sponsoring this video. Glock is not sponsoring us, FN is not sponsoring us, Beretta is not sponsoring us. Right now we have no sponsors for this channel, and we're just giving our opinion on the Sig P320. So let's get into it. I've owned several P320s with over the last 4 or 5 years, and there's an issue now with the P320 since 2016. More than 100 people claim that their P320s have discharged without even pulling the trigger. That's including, like I said, law enforcement and veterans. And there's right now, if I'm not mistaken, currently over 70 lawsuits with the P320. And a lot of it's coming from law enforcement officers. I've watched several videos on that issue, and I've seen where law enforcement have, they ran SERPs. Now, every state and county or law enforcement agency, they all have a budget, all right, guys? So maybe they can afford a P320, but they can't afford the T-Rex Ragnarok, or they can't afford a Safariland holster. So I've seen where some of them actually ran servers. And there's a thing here that, there's a thing that we do and what we say in the gun community. You know how they say, you never let a buddy drive drunk. Never let your buddies drive drunk. Never let your buddies rock a Serper. Okay, guys. The thing about the Serper is the retention button. As you can see, this is a Ragnarok SD. And then I also have the original Ragnarok. So on these Ragnaroks, there's no retention on these Ragnaroks. It just goes in, snaps in, you'll hear the click, boom. On this one as well, you'll hear the click, boom. I do have a Safariland, but not for this firearm, I do for my Glock. But that Serper, once you put it into that holster, the retention button, from when I gather and looking at, it sits right on the trigger. So you have to press that retention button to pull out that firearm, and it's sitting right, if not on the trigger guard, right near the trigger. I'm not sure if that's the reason. It also could be a manufacturer issue where it could be a thing with the firing pin. You know, we just don't know these things. I was fortunate enough that all my P320s, I haven't had a lemon. And I don't want to squeeze, I don't want to have a lemon that's going to squeeze lemon juice. And I think that could be an issue too, where some of them are, is a manufacturer issue, and some are just, could be holstering, bad holstering, or when disengaging or drawing a firearm, there's an issue there. So I can't really explain why the P320 is going off. Another issue that we're having with the P320 is at a certain angle, it being dropped, it's also going off. It's also, the firearm is discharging. People have dropped it from a certain angle. It may hit a certain angle at a point without hitting the trigger guard, and boom, you have an accidental discharge. So there's a lot of rumors why this firearm's having a lot of accidental discharge, but I can tell you personally, I've owned 4 or 5 P320s. I love them. I've never had an accidental discharge with mine. Then again, I don't run a Serper. I just haven't had a bad one come to the factory on that's come to me on my end. So you know, it's a big issue. But like I said, I don't run a Serper, and I love the P320. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into the P320 today, and we're actually gonna get into the holsters that I use for my P320. Now, I was using these holsters before the whole controversy. I never ran a Serper. I never liked Serpers. They're pretty cheap. They're pretty plasticky. I run Codex. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go into the firearm first and tell you why Sig won the contract for the P320, also known as the M17, and the compact version being the M18. I'll let you know why I kept mine. I didn't sell mine when everyone else was selling theirs. And we're gonna go over the modular system, which also helped sell the P320 for that contract. And then we're gonna go over the holsters I use. So what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna go right into the P320. This is the Sig Sauer P320 full size. I love it, fits great in the hand. I've owned several models of this. I've owned the X Carry, I've owned the compact, and I've owned the full size. They also make the full size, the X Carry and the full size. This one here has tritium night sights on it. This is the full size version. And what I have on mine is I run the P80 frame. Now the P80 frame has that nice, great stipple here. Very, very good texture. I get a nice, good purchase on this. Very good purchase on this P320 with that P80 frame. I was about to knock my cigars over. You see that? Can't have that. All right. So yeah, I choose to run the P80 frame on mine. Now the thing about this P320, also why I won the military contract, is this is a modular system. The fire control group comes out. I'm not gonna take it out and disassemble this firearm and show you that. The fire control group, I don't wanna do that here on YouTube. I don't wanna do that on my channel. But as you can see here, there's a serial number right here. All right, that is within the fire control group. So you would take the slider off, and that fire control group pops out. Now, this was one of the first guns to do this. There's a new gun that just came out by Springfield called the Echelon. They also started to do that as well. So they kind of got that from the Sig P320 line. So like I said, this is a modular firing control group system where you can just take the slider off, pop it out, and you can drop it into several different frames. This is actually the M17 frame. This is the one that won the military contract. So yeah, that's the M17 with the Surefire X300. So I kept my frame for that one. I sold that gun a while back, but my buddy had his own frame, so I said, hey, if you don't mind, let me keep my M17 frame. And he was like, cool. And also, here's another frame. This is the frame that came with the firearm. Also, I have an X300 on here. So you're probably wondering, okay, Guy, why do you have 2 frames with no control group, but you're running $300 lights on each? That's because, once again, this fire control group pops out. So if I want to easily change my frame, I take the slider off, pop out the fire control group, and it's a drop in, easily drops in. I can drop in, put the slider back on the frame, and I can choose which one I want to go with, already having my light ready to go. All right, so that's the modular design of the P320. And if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the first firearms to have that modular design, but comment below and let me know if I'm wrong. The Echelon made by Springfield is now doing that as well. I haven't got my hands on the Echelon. Do I want one? Yes. And maybe we'll get one and review here on the channel, guys. All right. And guys, yes, it's early and I haven't had my coffee. And if you haven't had Black Rifle coffee, definitely get it. So now we went over to the Serper. Well, I think that's the main issue that's going on with the P320s. It's the Serper holster. I could be wrong. Also, manufacturer issue. Could be something with the firing pin. Who knows? Could be something with the fire control group. I just not had a bad one, guys. All right. And I'm not downplaying it on my channel. I do feel bad. Luckily, no one has gotten killed with that issue. Several people have gotten seriously hurt. And yeah, they're suing Sig. You got about 70-something people suing Sig, and a lot of them are law enforcement. Some law enforcement agencies have decided to keep, regardless, to keep the Sig running for their agency. Some switch to Glock. So I think it's a money thing, depending on what agency can afford what. But like I said, a Serper, if you know, my thing is if you can afford to tack your team out with Sigs and Glocks, run the right holster, guys. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the Ragnarok holsters. Here's a Ragnarok from T-Rex Arms. I love those guys. I think Lucas and them guys down at T-Rex Arms are doing great things. I love them, so shout out to them. They're not sponsoring me either on this video. I just love what they do. All right. So this is a Ragnarok SD, and this is your Ragnarok here. So easily. Now these Ragnaroks, when you go on your T-Rex Arms website, you order it to a specific gun and a specific light that you're going to be running. So this one right here is kind of, the SD is kind of a universal one. As long as you're running the Surefire X300, it'll pretty much fit any gun. I fit my Glock 19 in here, my Glock 17 in here, and I also fit my H&K USP. Oh God, I love that gun. We'll be doing a review on that gun as well. That's the gun, if you don't know, it's from Metal Gear Solid. It's the SOCOM gun that is kind of modeled after the Mark 23, but that's for another video. So as you can see here, boom, clicks in. Like I said, this doesn't have a retention, but easily comes out, clicks in. Now, to go back on that, I don't know what some of these officers are doing, because when you're in a high tense situation, you look, guys, you're gonna draw very quick and you wanna be armed. When I draw, I make sure that my index finger is out on the holster, and as I'm pulling, my index finger is still out, kind of on the frame or a slider. So when I draw out like this, and I keep my index right here, all right? So one of those things is never put your hand on the trigger until you're ready to go. So I don't know if some of these people are drawing out, and when they draw out, they go strictly right to the trigger. I don't do that. So think about it if you did it here. This gun is saved. We've safety checked it, guys. So I can, you know, pull a trigger. It's my channel. So if I'm quickly going here and boom. Now you got a discharge. You got a negligent discharge. So that round is going somewhere. And if you have it on your holster, like some of them said they have, let's say I have it holstered. And I do the same thing. And I pull up. And I boom. Now I have a discharge because I pulled that trigger. So you got to be careful in any holster situation when you're drawing. All right, guys? Draw and keep your hand out the trigger guard. Also could be an issue. All right? Hand out the trigger guard until you're ready to go. All right? When you're ready to go, there you go. In, when you come back in, and then when you draw back down, look at my hand. All right? Look at my trigger. Pull out, then I'm in. As I'm backing off, my hand comes out. That trigger guard. Then I'm going back in the holster. All right? I'm not holstering with my hand still in the trigger guard going in. Accident waiting to happen. But once again, I'm not sure if that's where they're pulling their gun in a situation where they're just so quick where they have their hand in the trigger guard. Okay? We're gonna go over the regular Ragnarok. Now this Ragnarok, this one's a universal one. This is the SD. This Ragnarok here is just the Ragnarok that I got fitted for this Sig P320 with the Surefire X300. Fits right in, clicks perfectly. I love these guys. They're very durable. You get that clicking sound where it's locked in. Now, and it's still pretty tight. It's not going nowhere. Regardless of not having a retention lockup, look at this. It's locked in there. All I gotta do is pull, and like I said, index finger out. Still on the frame / slider. And then when I'm ready, I go down to the trigger. All right. So just be mindful of that. That can be an issue too. Okay. I'm not down in Sig, and I'm not downplaying anyone who had the I hate to say negligent discharge, because I don't want to blame anybody for anything. It could be Sig's fault. It could be something that's problematic with Sig. I'm just telling you, I've owned several P320s. I haven't had an issue. But then again, I don't run Serpers. Then again, when I'm pulling my firearm, my hand is not in the trigger guard. So it could be a number of things. They're also saying too that, you know, the firearm with the fire control group, you know, one guy just dropped it and it hit a certain angle and it went off. So, you know, I really can't diagnose the problem there with the P320. All I can tell you, it is a phenomenal firearm. It does have a high bore access than a Glock. So your bore access is how far your frame sits up. You guys, excuse me, guys. How far your frame sits up, kind of from the barrel, you know, in a way. To me, this kind of has a medium bore access. It's not too high, but it's not as low as my Glock. But I haven't had any problems. This gun is pretty accurate. Another thing I want to mention, why I chose, well, I've got several frames, but why I love the P80 frame, guys. Not only does it have that nice stippling, where you can get a nice good grip, but it has like a 1911 style to it too, where it has that beaver tail. It's just nice. It sticks out very nice, where you can really get up in there and get a good grip on that P320. So it's got like a 1911 style beaver tail. Wilson Combat also makes a frame like that, which it has that high beaver tail. I used to own it, and I would say, guys, that's a great one. If you buy the whole kit, Wilson Combat actually has the frame and their own slider. But you do not have to buy the whole Wilson Combat, because I think that's like $1,200 to $1,400. You can just buy the frame. Right? You can get them anywhere. You can get them on Midway USA, or you can get them on Brownells. In a frame, I think they're like $75. And there are Wilson Combat frames for the P320. You can either get them in black or tan. I think there's the only two colors. But I chose to go with this P80. It's got this army green, and it looks great. It's a sexy ass firearm, and like I said, I love it, guys. Another thing to mention that we'll just put this right back in here. When Sig won that contract too, on the M17 frame, it has a manual safety. I took my manual safety off, so that's another thing that they wanted to. There was certain specifications that you had to have on the firearm, on that particular firearm, to win the contract. You know, they do a number of tests on these firearms, torture tests and rounds and seeing if, you know, how long it lasts. And a thing about it is it had that manual safety on the outside. So you do got some dipsy soldiers out there, guys. You know, I was in the military for 7 years. I was a quartermaster and I did infantry as 11 Bravo. Glock does not have a manual safety on the outside. They have an internal safety. So we went over the modular design, and we went over the lawsuits and everything with this firearm. Now, question: why did I keep mine? I love the gun. It shoots well. Like I said, I've always loved Sig. Sig and Glock has kind of been my two firearms to go to. We'll go over capacity while I have it here. I also have extended rounds. I didn't put them out on the table, but this holds 17 plus 1, and I think my extendo holds 20 plus 1, so that's 21 rounds. All right, it's got night sight capability. This one does have the cutout for the optic if you want to put a RMR on it. It's a great gun, guys. So don't get rid of your Sig yet. All right, guys. But I would say, guys, if you own the P320 and you're scared of the accidental, you might have accidental discharge or it going off, I wouldn't sell it. One, if you do have an issue with yours and it did go off, I would contact Sig and maybe exchange it for another firearm. Maybe not the P320. Maybe say, hey, look, I'm having an issue with this P320. Maybe they can fix it. And if it, honestly, fixing it one time's enough. So I would say if it did go off, I would contact Sig and say, hey, look, I'm having a problem with the P320. It went off by itself. Luckily, no one was hurt. And trade it for another gun. Talk to Sig. I'm sure they'll work with you, man. Like I said, they're out of New Hampshire. Sig's a great company, guys. Regardless of, things happen. Things happen on a manufacturing line. These guns are man-made. All right, guys. So let's not get out, panties in a wad. Oh, I'm not going to buy the P320 anymore. Think that's foolish. If you have one and it's been working for you, keep it. All right. If it's not working or you're scared, that's your personal preference to get rid of it. But if you do have a discharge on one, I would get with Sig and trade it out for maybe a 226 or a 229 or 365, or I don't know if they do store credit. I don't work for Sig, but definitely get with them and get a different firearm from Sig. I would not, I repeat, I would not, if you have had an issue with your P320, I would not go sell it to anyone else. That's it's gonna be problematic down the line for them. I wouldn't go sell it to a gun store. I wouldn't trade it to anybody. Be honest, guys. If you have a bad firearm and it's a manufacturer problem, talk to the manufacturer. Don't go to no pawn shop and try to sell it off and, well, that's not my problem anymore, because it'll end up hurting someone else. So I would just get with Sig and try to work something out. But that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Why I kept my P320. It's one of my favorite handguns. It's worked great for me. And if it works great for the military, for them to adopt it, and for Sig to get a $580 million contract, and if the military's using it, I'm gonna use it. Like I said, I haven't had a problem with mine. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Would definitely want your input on if you had a negligent discharge or a manufacturer issue with your P320, or if you're one of the ones that's just said, hey, you know what? I can see this being problematic down the line. I don't want nothing to do with it. And a lot of people have. A lot of people have gotten rid of their Sig P320s. I kept mine. I do feel bad for the people that have gone through this and may have PTS issues, due to the firearm. That's a scary thing. If it's not negligence on a person, like I said, pulling from a Serpa holster and hitting that firearm, that's scary. It's a scary thing, and I understand that a lot of people are going through PTSD and certain worries, and I think I read that one guy gave up all his handguns because he was just didn't want to own a handgun again anymore. I wouldn't do that. Like I said, I'm not downplaying the issue. I feel sorry for anyone who has gotten hurt by a P320 if it was a manufacturer issue. Now, if it was something on the user, that's when training needs to be implemented. All right. So yeah, I've kept my P320. I love it. Like, subscribe, and comment below and let me know how you feel about the P320. If you kept yours, or you decided to get rid of it. Another thing, guys, we're starting a Patreon channel. The proceeds will go to St. Jude's and Wounded Warrior. We're only keeping 20%. 40% goes to St. Jude's. The other 40% go to Wounded Warrior. And also, guys, we all have our bad days, and we're all fighting a battle every day. That's what War Machine Company is about. It's about being a warrior and being a war machine every day, even though we're fighting some type of battle. Nobody's perfect. But if you have a battle that you can't fight, guys, there is a veteran crisis line that you can call. It's 1-800-273-8255. And all you gotta do is press 1. Somebody will be there to talk to you. There's a lot of hotlines out there for suicide preventions or any type of mental health thing that you're going through. So please, there is help out there, guys. Just you gotta be strong enough to get the help. All right, guys? So this is Angel War Machine Company. Until the next one, guys, I'm out.
Whiskey Mike, you are cleared RTB.
Yeah, this is War Machine Company tracking. We are RTB at this time.